Hey, Yuli here, and welcome back to another Morning Mindset Minute. I know I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but I'm reading this book called The Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. It's basically a conglomerate of all of his favorite podcasts and interviews and guests, and he put them in a book, and he asked some questions, and they're the snippets and best parts of those interviews. And one of the questions that he typically asks is to his guests is, what advice would you give your 30-year-old self? And he asked that to all of his guests, and they write down their answers, blah blah blah. So one of the guests that he asked the same question: what advice would you give your 30-year-old self? And this guest answered it with a little bit of a twist, which was actually pretty cool for me to. I posted something about it the other day, but I thought I'd get a little bit more in depth into it in this video. He asked the question: pretend you were your ideal self in 15 years. What advice would you give your current self? So basically, I like this for two reasons mainly. One is it makes you think about, okay, who is my ideal self? Who do I want to be in 15 years? What kind of a person do I want to be in 15 years? What kind of an athlete do I want to be in the next 15 years? What kind of a husband, wife, whatever in the next 15 years? What kind of a friend do I want to be in the next 15 years? What kind of a business person? Where do I want to be in my career in the next 15 years? So this is a great question to get you thinking about where you actually want to be in 15 years. And that, for me, is one of the biggest ways to become who you want to be. Is actually, you have to know who you want to be. You can't just let your life guide itself. You have to give it some purpose. You have to give it some guidance. So that question really makes you think about who it is that you want to be in the next 15 years. And then the second part about this that I really, really like is that it gives you direction. So depending on who you want to be in the next 15 years, what do I have to do now in order to get there? So just pretend that you're talking to yourself. You're sitting at a park bench and somebody sits down next to you, and it's an older person, looks a lot like you. Maybe it's you 15 years from now. And that person's giving you advice about how to be that ideal person. How would you get there? And it could be anything from, it's up to you. It's your purpose. You're driven. However it is you're driven. You know who you want to be more than anybody else. But for me, a couple things that I gave some thought would be to, just be more consistent and stay consistent at the things that you love to do. Prioritize relationships. That's a big one. Making sure that you're staying on top of your friendships, your family, and your loved ones. Making sure you're staying current with them and just being honest with yourself and the space that you set with them and the energies that you put out for them. Continue to learn. Always be a learner. Stay humble and always learn. You never know enough. And then another one I always thought that would be a good one, or one that I think that I would put in that category as well, is to celebrate your progress. Even the smallest baby step wins. Make sure that you're celebrating those, giving yourself credit for those hard things that you're doing and getting out there every day, whether it's waking up early in the morning, whether it's getting to the gym daily, whether it's working on your nutrition. Those things, every time you succeed, every time you do one more thing, every time you have one more win, you need to celebrate those, as small as they are. They don't have to be monster celebrations, but I've always been a big fan of making sure that you at least acknowledge and recognize your successes. So just a little something to think on, something to ponder on. Give yourself some time today or over the next couple days just to think about what those lessons, what that advice would be, what that life advice would be from your future ideal self to your current self. And make sure that you're taking those steps seriously and maybe writing them down and reviewing them every couple of weeks, making sure you're staying on track, staying consistent with who you want to be and how you're going to get there. So hope that's helpful. I know it was for me. It was very eye-opening for me to kind of just, simple questions like that. That's why I love books like this, because it bounces around from different guests, from different genres, different niches, and then these little tidbits that you pick up from time to time, they're nice to just think about and work with. So hopefully that helps. Also, just to let you know, I'm putting together a pretty nice size video in the fitmind30.com platform. It's going to be about change, you know, a little bit about this. You know, you might have to make some changes in order to be who you want to be, to become your ideal self in 15 years. It's about change and the different stepping stones that people run into change and stuff like that, and the fear of change and how we can overcome it so we can get to where we want to be. So if you want to be part of that and you want to be notified of when I release that video, which will probably be, I think March 15th is when I'm releasing that video in the back office, sign up at fitmind30.com. Just become a member, and I will send you some information on when that is starting and when I'm putting that video out. So fitmind30.com, check that out, and I will see you on the next video.